Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for coming back. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. Our next workshop is managing human resources and hiring for startups. Our next speaker is Randa Farah. She's an HR professional and trainer and the co-founder of Activity.com.
So hello everyone. I know you're very excited to learn about HR and recruitment, and this is a very big topic. So I spent years studying it, and years working in it, and it's still an area where you can discover a lot of things. So working with objects is very easy, right? Because you put, for example, an object here, or you put certain data here. You know that the second day you're gonna find it in the same place. While working with people is really challenging, because when you work with people, people change their mind. People have their emotions, they have feelings, and you cannot predict what will happen. So this is why I always say that people are, each person is really a mystery by itself. So imagine that you're working with people who are mysterious. Because even sometimes we marry someone and he turns out to be someone else. So imagine that you have in 1 hour to assess a person to see if he's qualified, if he can fit the culture, if he can do the job, and if he will be ethical, and if he will stay with you if you train him. So all this, you have to assess it in less than an hour. So it's really challenging. Now, first to tell you a bit about myself, I have a background in business, advertising and marketing, industrial psychology and HR management. I have worked in different companies for more than 12 years, and I'm also an instructor at USG, where I teach master students in HR, some courses in human resources management. I'm also a certified trainer from the UK and certified in competency-based interviewing, which is a technique I'm going to talk about right now. Usually it's a training I give over 2 days or 3, so we're gonna have like a small introduction about it today, and I will try to give you as many information as possible during this workshop. It will be a bit interactive, so whenever I would require Jad, please, another microphone to be passed around. And if you have any question at any time, just give me a sign. I would like first to know, please, how many of you are now working in, oh, I forgot something important. I'm also the co-founder of Activity, which is a calendar for events. So if you don't know it yet, you can check Activity.com and subscribe in our newsletter. So, how many of you are now working in a startup? Okay. How many of you are founders of a startup? All right. Anyone here in HR? No? Okay, wait, so I can say whatever I want. Okay, don't worry, you're in good hands. So, what are your challenges in terms of HR, in terms of hiring? If anyone would like to share, just raise your hand. Jad, here, please. Yeah, you can ask me to answer that. Okay, so how to know if the person will be committed to the vision and the mission of the company?
When people is really trained and became really qualified, and then leave for another company or a big group.
Okay.
So that's, I think that's one of the main challenges for startups.
So retention, okay, how to retain employees. Now,
normally in other countries, such as in Europe or something, you can give them maybe stock options or these kind of things, so that.
Yes, so there are many ways to retain people. Like today we're gonna, yeah, I understand, and today we're gonna focus a bit more on how to attract these people, especially that they don't know your startup. So some of you have very new startups, and like of course a fresh grad would go and apply to companies that are well known. This is where we will focus. There's another session about retention, but I will try to give some information about this. What other challenges do you have?
One of the biggest challenges, you need to find people that have a certain amount of experience so they can actually produce something.
Yes.
But yet you don't want them super experienced because maybe you can't, afford them.
Okay.
And you don't want beginners, so you don't know how to find this tier of this segment of
Correct. This is a challenge as well. We have a challenge here and then this. One second, there's someone. And then.
Yeah, as an early stage startup entrepreneurs, the most important part, I'm not trained to recruit people. And the question comes, do I recruit them myself? Do I hire a recruiter or do I outsource it? That's an open challenge.
Okay, so this is the how, okay? I'll tell you, like, also we will talk a bit about this, like where to find the candidates. Let's take a last intervention. Okay.
Hi, so which category of employees can we recruit with minimum wages and at the same time don't want to to have recruiters who are zero experience or let's say a minimum experience or humble experience compared with the minimum wage. So can we convince them?
So we have also the challenge that we're a startup, so we're not very well known, and also we don't have enough money.
Yeah.
So how to get the qualified people? Last one because we
the biggest challenge, I think, for me, is like to find interns because I am also at a very early stage. So for me, I cannot to pay money and I don't have well-known name.
Yeah.
So how to convince interns because they will help me a lot.
Okay.
It's really hard.
We will check this. Okay, thank you for sharing your challenges. Now we're here to learn about first HR. We need to understand the function of HR in general. So I'll just spend around 5 minutes talking about this. And then we will talk about how to find and attract talent and how to assess talents in a proper way. Because we have two challenges as a startup. We have first to choose the people we want to work with, whether it's a co-founder, someone who will work with us, or someone who will work for us, and also how to be able to assess them properly. So if we just talk about the HR functions in general in any company, what are the main HR functions? Anyone knows? If you work in big companies before, you probably know. So training is one. Recruiting. Who else? Career development. Performance evaluation and appraisal. Employee resources, you mean recruiting? Oh, okay, yes. Employees management, all right. So keeping the data of all the employees. Career development as well. What else? You spoke about retention and employee relation. Exactly, so the payroll part and the personnel. So the HR function, in fact, changed with time because before it was just personnel, it was purely payroll, and now it changed more to a strategic function. So we have a department in big companies that is responsible of HR. And mostly what we do is recruitment, training and development, benefits and compensation, internal communication, everything related to employee relation, even health and safety, and record keeping. So it's a lot of everything related to the employee from the day he joins, before he joins, until the day that he leaves. So we do even the exit interview for him to leave and to understand why he is leaving the company. Now, I'm not going to talk about all the functions because these are mostly for the big companies. So mostly you can have the accountant giving the payrolls in a startup because it's a small structure. And someone, like maybe the founder, will be doing the recruitment. So it's a different structure because it's a small entity. Usually, starting 20 to 30 employees, we can think of having an HR person. Usually, we need around one HR person for 40 employees. So if you are a company around 30 to 50 employees, you need one HR person. Okay, so for now, I think you're under this number, which is you can manage in a different way. You can have a consultant, you can have someone from helping you with these functions. So now, today we're going to focus on our number one challenge for startups, which is recruitment. Why is recruitment important? If we do a mistake in recruitment, it will cost us a lot. And detecting talent is not an easy job, because when you work with people, people now are very well trained, so they come to the interview. Let's say you are hiring an intern or someone like a fresh grad. They all have the same CV, AUB, bachelor degree or engineering degree, and he's like, he did an internship, and now it's his first job. So in fact, you're not really able to choose. So they all have the same CV. How can you know that this person is better than the other one? It's a big challenge, isn't it? Steve Jobs even said it, hiring the best is your most important task. Now, let's look a bit about some celebrities and what they experienced with bad recruiters. You all know Elvis Presley, right? Okay, Elvis Presley was a truck driver. And he was hired by someone, and then he told him, you know what, by a company like to be able to perform, to sing, and they told him, you know what, you're not talented enough, and you'd better go back to your trucks and drive again. So that was Elvis Presley, who was not well assessed by his potential employer. Steven Spielberg, he was rejected 3 times from his dream school because they didn't assess him well. Like they said, you don't have enough talent and creativity. So he was rejected from his dream school 3 times. And we know what Steven Spielberg did afterwards. The same for Mr. Honda. He he didn't pass a job at Toyota. So you know what he did afterwards. He created Honda. And the biggest one is our friend, Brian. So Brian applied to Facebook, and he was rejected. And he was extremely disappointed that Facebook didn't hire him. And after a few years, he created WhatsApp. And WhatsApp was sold to Facebook by for $19 billion. So imagine the price they paid for having missed the opportunity of hiring a talent. Not only $19 billion. So it could be a salary for more than a lifetime. So these are some of the examples of the opportunity we can miss if we don't really assess talents well. Now, if we look a bit on our major concern, which is startups. So startups are really interesting and challenging, first because they are young, and second because they are growing very quickly. So it's around 30% growth. So imagine now you're starting a business and you get the proper team and the proper investment on board. You are planned to grow by 20 to 30%. I give an example, let's say Keyword, okay, who started really small and who's now one of the fastest growing startups in the ecosystem. So you are looking for talented people, but the challenge is candidates are not looking for you. Why? They don't know about you, exactly. What's your startup's name? Mecca? So how would I apply to a startup that I don't know about? So he may have the best product, or the product of the future, or the next Facebook, the next WhatsApp. He can be like Brian, the future Brian, but how can I know if I don't know his company? So what's the first thing we should think of as a startup? Promote our brand, right. So how do we do that?
But we're promoting for customers.
Exactly. But also candidates.
For candidates?
Why not?
Is it different?
It's a bit different. It's the same and not it's almost the same and not exactly very different. I tell you why. Potential candidates, even if they don't get hired, they may become clients. So you want to promote your image even to candidates because they may become clients, and clients may become potential candidates. So you don't really know who is the candidate and who's the potential client.
But
so you have
doing our marketing strategy the same, but we're using it also to bring in candidates.
Yes, I will tell you how. I will tell you how you will do it.
Redirect.
I will tell you how you do it. Now, mostly big companies, for example, one of the companies I used to work for was Touch. And Touch used to have something called employer of choice. So we had a target as a recruitment team in Touch to become an employer of choice. So we want people to choose us to work for us. And this is why when we used to go to job fair, we used to do a survey and to see how much students would choose Touch as a potential employer of choice. How do we become an employer of choice? We offer benefits, we have a nice name, nice name. We have like opportunities for growth, so people know that if they enter, they will have opportunities for growth. Now, for startups, it's a bit different because we are targeting, we cannot grow, we cannot invest a lot in trainings, and we can grow, but it's not like the same as a multinational, and we are not a big name, so a lot of challenges. But there are a lot of assets in a startup. What are these assets?
Profit sharing, being part of the company.
Being part of solving the solution.
Exactly, being part of solving a solution. So you know, when someone is hired for a higher purpose than just finding a job, this motivation is way, way, way higher. So if you are hired to do, like, let's say my job, I'm doing a recruitment job that is very limited in a multinational company, would be different for me than working in a startup where I have a mission to make, let's say, to save the environment, all right? And these particular people, especially in millennials, which is like the new generation, is becoming more and more important. So for them, it's very important to have a mission, to have to change the world, to do something important. And when we focus on that in our marketing, this is how we are able to attract them. This is one of the things.
Brings us back to my question.
Yeah.
How will
Yeah, we will get there. Just a minute. If I didn't cover your question at the end of the session, you ask me again. Okay, so how? Now, if we look a bit on our startup world, first, there is a huge learning curve. But the candidates don't know it, because they don't know that they will learn a lot. First, they don't know your startup to start with. And second, if they work in a startup, first they have the opportunity to create, so they have initiative that is encouraged, and also they can learn because they can tackle many things at the same time. So let's say I am in HR. If I am in a company that's very limited, like only doing recruitment, I will not learn a lot from other industries, from other departments. While if I am in a small structure, I can learn so much from the sales, from marketing. Maybe I do everything, I answer the phone, I do everything. So this will teach me a lot. But we have to present this. Okay, there's a war of talent, and we have to win this war of talent. We are all here, startups, and we are all fighting for this amazing developer. Who now would, if I tell you there's an amazing developer now who's ready to get recruited, who will hire him? Yeah, I know, it's the biggest challenge. So there's a war of talent. We all want him, but how will you get him? Our challenges: no talents. There are not enough talents. There's a lot of expenses, so we don't have the means to pay. No budget. Also, we don't know how to hire. So suppose I need a developer. I don't know where to find him. I don't know how to hire him. I don't know what to ask him. And if I give him a test, maybe one company once told me they did a test that everyone failed. Like they are all not good to be hired. And then I saw this test and it was like, oh my God, what is that test? Like they took question from here, it was an IQ test, and it was like a disaster because they took a question from this test and another from this test, and they created an IQ test. So two things that you cannot create is IQ test and psychometric test, because these should be verified and done by a professional company. You can buy them, but you cannot create them. Okay, so don't assess your candidates based on a test that you created. And if you want to do a technical test, test it yourself on a sample, all right? Like at least 20 people. And also, like fresh grads are all similar, and there's a lack of resources, lack of people who are qualified, and lack of technical people especially. So, before we start and see how we will find these people, I want you to tell me, if you have a need, let's say for a developer, because I know that this is a big challenge, how is this done? How is the process done in your company? Who will share with me? So you have a vacancy. How would you, yes?
Using job boards, LinkedIn, whatever social networks.
Okay, after this.
The right talent. And mainly that's the main network that we approach. The recruitment agency for sure. But mainly we find developers well on LinkedIn and on job boards.
Okay, so you find LinkedIn, and then you get like 1 billion CV. And none of them, one of them is a waiter, one of them is a sales, and then you get someone who's 60 years old. It's
So
true, like,
we
it's a
usually
big
contact-
challenge. It happens with everyone.
We usually contact universities, and they send us a bunch of CVs. So we do first filtering, and then we keep like 5 to 10 CVs, and we go through interviews.
Okay.
And
And do you have a technique for the interview? Like, do you follow a certain structure?
yes, usually I because I'm the one conducting the interviews usually. So I start with trying to guess the personality
Of the person.
and then we go to the technical and more expertise.
Okay.
But for me, the most important is the personality, because the personality is
Very good.
Yeah.
We will get to this and why it's important. Yeah.
Prepare a job description.
A job description. So first, before getting what we, before wanting to get what we want, we should know what we want, right? So if I go to a restaurant and I tell them I want to have dinner, they will bring you, let's say, pasta. You say, no, I didn't ask for this. Okay, then, but if you say I want like chicken with potato, what you will get is exactly chicken with potato. So what you ask for is very important. So to define your job, to define the needs that you have is very important, because you will get the profile you want if you know, or if you define what are the things that you need. And I will get to this in a bit. Yes?
Our experience, we have been through like 7 years now of recruiting. The best departments are those that we train in Germany. But what we are looking for is always background.
Exactly. I am not saying that what you want is like to have the technical skills. I'm talking about also the attitude. So if you have, let's say, someone who's willing to learn, this is what you need, right? So he is able to be trained. I will get to this. Exactly, because in the CV, people will tell you what they want to tell you. And if you have similar CVs, you will not get the information you want. So it's important to have an application form. I will get to this in a bit. Thank you. So mostly, if we go through a recruitment process, first you need to define the requirements. So define what you need. Second step is to attract candidates. So you should know, what I want is a developer. Where will I find him? Based on what you want, you are able to choose the channels. So you cannot, let's say, if you're hiring a driver, you will not put an announcement in Commerce du Levant. You will put it on El Wasit, because this is where you will find the people who are looking for a job and have the profile that you need. And the opposite is true. So after this, you do a short listing. And to do the short listing, there are many techniques. I recommend to have an application form so that you get, it could be online, a simple form, so that you get from the people the information you want. And even you can ask them a few questions like why you left your job, what's your salary expectations, etc., so that you can filter out the people who are not fitting your profile. Then you have the assessment part and the selection. Assessment is not only interviews, it's tests, it's different things. And then you get to the hiring part, which is actually giving him the job. And the last part that we forget is onboarding, because sometimes we think, okay, we got him on board, great, cool, yeah, let's start your job. And we forget to tell him, like, he comes the first day, there's no laptop, there's no, oh yeah, that's your email, you know what, you're old enough, you can do it yourself. So he's like, wow, okay, you know what, I'm not staying in this company, it's not professional. And there's something that we call the early turnover rate. It's when people leave in the first 6 months of the job. And if you have a lot of people leaving in the first 6 months, it means you are doing a bad hiring or a bad onboarding, or both. So it's very important that you make sure that your process is correct, and to make sure that you have the proper onboarding. I can't highlight how important onboarding is for new hires. So you can, you have to really make them feel comfortable, give them everything they need, train them, because the faster you train them, the faster they will give you results as well. Okay? So the first part is called recruitment, and the second part is called selection. Now, from all the people who are looking for a job, this is the labor force population, so all the people who are working, if we remove the kids, the people who are like retired, you have the people who will apply, who are interested to apply to your job, to your position. And from it, it's the applicant pools, and from this applicant pool, you have your selected candidates. Now, as I said, there's lots of benefits in having a proper selection process, and if you don't hire well, there's a huge cost. There's direct costs and indirect costs. Yesterday I was giving a training about this, and we had like 2 groups doing the costs, direct costs and indirect costs, and they got like a huge list of costs of hiring a bad person, like the wrong person. And usually, like to give it up as a summary, it will cost you around 3 times his salary. So if you hire the wrong person, you will hire him, give him his salary, keep him for a month or 2 or 3 or 6, and if he leaves in the first 6 months, he will cost you 3 times his salary. So it's a lot of money to spend on a bad hiring. It's a big risk. Now, where to find these people? Can you share with me a bit where you find your candidates? So you said LinkedIn, you said recruitment website, like what? Bed.com. It will cost you money. Hire Lebanese is free and useful. You ask for referrals, for recommendations from people who work with you or from friends. Yeah, that can be a good method, because people know your culture and they can refer people who may fit in your company. What else? But it has like some bad sides as well, because if an employee hires someone and someone is performing better than him, he will feel like, so there's a lot of pros and cons in every method, but now we're just like listing the different methods where to find candidates. We can go to universities, and also, do you have a database where people can actually apply an email, and you keep these CVs on file so that you can come back to them? Sorry?
In the early stages, no one.
Yeah. But you can like start to market it, and to have, like you can put a post on your social media or on someone's social media, on your network, to gather CVs. Okay, so mostly it's local advertising. It depends on the position, word of mouth, universities, website, recruitment companies, like even a headhunter, job agency, networking events, referrals. Sometimes you can get a candidate from a conference like here. Like for example, if you are in ArabNet and you are meeting people, you can hire indirectly some of the people. Like many of the headhunters, you know what a headhunter is? Someone who hires people who are not looking for a job, or who are like in the conversation. Like I know a headhunter who hired one of his best people on a plane. Okay, so he was sitting next to him and he was testing him all the time and he didn't know. So, and then he hired him. So it's very interesting how headhunters know how to read people and to get to test them over social places. So if I am having a conversation with one of you, maybe. Okay, so why would they choose you? Okay, why would they choose your startup? We said that they don't know you. You're small. You have small structure. You're growing. It's not stable. They may be afraid. Why you? Market your company. Why you? What's your company? Okay.
Actually, we have a very special environment, working environment. It's exactly a startup. We roll it out shoes. So everyone comes, he was like shocked. He gets, he loved the space.
Great.
We are a startup. This is an advantage. Because when you have a startup, the developer joins, he knows what he can learn a lot of things. It's much better than a big company.
Yes. Okay, so learning a lot, having like a young structure where he can make a difference. So these are very important. If we look a bit about, if we look a bit on, if we see around us the millennials, you know what millennials are? It's the generation that is from, around, now they are aged around 18 to 34 years old, 35 years old, like the limit. It's the future generation. It's the future people who will be employed in the near future or who are now being employed. So the characteristics of these people is that they are impatient because everything is fast. They are very demanding because you cannot fool them anymore. They Google everything, they know everything. They are very hands-on and techies, you know, so they have the iPad, the iPhone. They grew up with these iPhone and iPad and all these tools. And they want to make a difference, and they want fast results. Also, they don't like jobs, like boring structured jobs, or they change a lot of jobs. So they have different needs. And this is to your advantage as startups, the millennials. So first, what they care about, the millennials, you have to understand them. They care a lot about people and the culture fit. So yeah, I want them to understand me, to understand that I want to wear my Converse at work, I don't want to wear my high heels. So they have this culture. They want the people and culture fit. They are looking for this. It's a priority for them. Then the career potential. Like if you've seen some of the videos about millennials, like they come and say like, I want to make a difference, and someone tells them, how long? Like I want to leave my job because I'm not making a difference. And then we ask him like, how long have you been in the job? And then he says like 6 months. And you see how impatient they are and how they are expecting to make quick changes. So they want to make a change, they want to see the potential. So if you tell them that if we grow, you grow with us, wow, they will want to work with you because they are contributing in this work-life balance. So they need flexibility in their work. So they need, they are not the 9 to 5 typical employees. So they offer them like work-life balance, flexibility, work from home. Like now with technology, you can use or take advantage of these tools. Compensation, of course, but it's not the top one. Environment, company mission, innovation, and so it's a lot of things that they are interested in. Let's focus on the top ones. Yeah.
How do you define that these are the most?
It's not me. It's a study from.
So we can.
College Feed. Okay, so it's not me who did this. So it's a study that was done on millennials, and I'm presenting it to you to show you what the studies are showing. Okay, I'm not inventing. So first, what we need to do is an employer branding. Yes. Sorry?
By their parents and culture, they
Yeah.
tend to go for jobs that are safe. They won't go for startups as much as this slide would.
Yeah, it can be true to a certain extent, but less and less. Because if they see that their peers are working at Anrami or at Uber, and like they are working in some startups that are like keyword, and they are so happy, and they go to work, and they have parties at work, and they have Halloween, and they come with masks, and another company that brings their dog to their company. So they will feel, there's also the peer pressure. So if they feel that, oh, my friends are doing this, and then anyway he's not finding a job, so he's staying at home, he will be anyway attracted to this type of companies. Okay, so it's changing a bit by bit. But also it's like doing a doctor or a Muhammad or engineer, it's also changing. Like you see people who get their engineering degree and then, okay, thank you, I'm doing my audiovisual degree now, or I'm doing my own startup and I'm leaving what I studied. So it's changing. This is why like target their core, not what their parents, it's not them talking, it's their parents' voice. So when we get them and they feel that it's aligned with them, they will be attracted. Okay, so employee branding. I'll give you some example of Lebanese startups. So for example, if you know Kung Fu, their company is called Kung Fu, which is like Kung Fu. And if you see the logo, it's very fun. So they have a very friendly and fun environment. These are some pictures also of Kung Fu's office. They have Halloween and they post it on Facebook. So when I see this, or anyone who sees this on social media or on their page, they will say, wow, what a nice ambience. Like imagine you're working there and you have Halloween and with your colleagues you do some parties at work, and then another company, they have activity, they have a dog. We have a dog who's a team member, so if you go on activity and check team members, you will see the people's names, and then you will see Diego, happiness officer. So he's like in charge of happiness at the office. So why not? Like how cool, like people who love dogs. Like now we have 3 people who love dogs and they bring their dogs to work every day. And they have like a place for them, a booth and with food, and we all, like if one day he's not in the office, they all ask about him. So he's like a team member. Dog lovers would love this. They cannot do this in another company. So show your culture, show how fun it is, show the advantages that you offer. So this is one important thing that I want to focus on. You cannot pay huge salaries, but you can pay advantages. You can give advantages and benefits as a startup. So if you offer them to work, like for example, the developer that we have, who has Diego, our dog, he will no way on earth to leave this company because no company will ever accept Diego as an employee, okay? So imagine that he brings his dog to work every day. And the dog is very happy, there's a garden as well, he can play, and like he will never find this. And he's so happy in the environment and in everything. So this is a benefit, it's free. What does it cost us? 0. But it gives us a lot of good vibes in the office. It gives us a lot of positivity, and also at the same time, he's happy because he's bringing his dog, and his dog is happy as well. So it's a lot of benefits. Another thing that you can offer a free, like some nice benefits. For example, a gym membership. You can give to every employee a $50 voucher for a gym. But for him, it's like a benefit, like, wow, I'm getting a gym, I'm getting a benefit. I can like bring your baby to work. I don't know, like do something like that. Or work from home, you're a new mother or you're a fresh, I don't know, you want to work from home, have this flexibility. Okay, come 4 days to the office and you have 1 day per week, work from home. Or you have this quota of days per week, per month to work from home. Why not? If you are focused on results, so try to think differently. Think results. I want him to achieve this by the end of the month, no matter how much time he spends in the office, and also to reduce your costs, so if he's working from home. Yeah, like think this way, think in a different way. What can you offer him? Try to do some outings, try to do some like out-of-the-box benefits that will not cost you a lot, and that will give him the impression that there's a lot of benefits. So wow, if I work in this company, I can bring my dog, I can work from home, I have flexible working hours, I can't find this in a normal startup. And also I'm contributing in a bigger cause, and I'm making a change. So all this is very important. Can you think of an advantage that you can offer your employees for your startup? Yes. Raise your voice. Yeah, you offered them?
Yeah, I offered to one of the employees that is very passionate about gaming for big operators. Set gamer keyboard plus
mouse, and
wow.
we play together, and actually we are still low on the ranking, but we have some objectives related to this.
That's amazing.
And we don't have times when we start and when we finish. So they come.
That's great.
When they want.
So being happy, in fact, we all want to be happy. So imagine you're happy at work. So if you're happy at work, you are really in a very good place. We all look for happiness. So imagine you spend most of your life at work. More than, like your week is 7 days and 5 of them are at work. So if you're not happy there, like why? I mean, people are more looking for quality now. They're looking for their own happiness. And if you can work in such an environment where you can play with the boss and be cool and come in Converse and jeans and wear whatever you want and leave whatever you want, like, but be productive, you will feel responsible and happier. Another benefit that you can offer.
We usually offer concerts, dinners,
tickets, yes.
Tickets.
We do this too, Beirut.
Exactly.
So adaptivity.
That's really an advantage, actually. That's really.
It is indeed.
But think that what she mentioned is really true, because people nowadays, when they have a little bit of expertise in something, especially when you have worked for somebody that is known to be really good in his domain, they are very easily recruited by big companies, big firms.
Yeah.
Especially that digital is really trendy right now. So, and this is really a challenge.
Now, retention, as I said, I will not talk a lot about retention, how to retain your employees, but those things, like, they help a lot as well. Okay, like having some benefits, especially if you have the means to contribute in their education. Like, for example, someone who wants to continue a master's degree and you contribute in a small part in his education, and you can make him sign a contract that he cannot leave before 2 years after he finishes his master's. So you have a guarantee that he's staying for 4 years. Big companies do that, but also they are happy because they are contributing in their education, and he feels valued, or you can register him in a certification like CMA, CFA, I don't know. So it's like a continuous, something that takes time, and you will not finish it before, you know. So stuff like that could help. But the most important thing that retains employee is how much they are getting, they are happy at their work. So money is not anymore the biggest thing to leave their job. So they have money, if money is not enough, it is a challenge. Like, it is a factor of, we call it a hygiene factor. It's a factor that will make them feel unsatisfied. But if they have a good salary and they are happy, they will it will be difficult for them to look for something else. So it's not, they are not really approachable easily.
Do you think it's a good idea to put incentives for all the teams?
Yes, why not? Especially
how,
if you're...
How can you do it without, because in a team you will have like a designer, you will have a salesperson, and you will have a secretary, and you will have I don't know, a social media person.
Yeah, I'll tell you how.
If you give one person, you don't give the other, they might
Exactly. I'll give you an example of what happened when I was working also at one of the big companies. There was a crisis, like you remember there was a cost, we were doing like cost reduction, and there was a financial crisis, and we decided in the company to do something called cost reduction in all areas. So reducing, even we used to print on paper cups, like everything. And what they did is that they said, okay, there's a problem. The first thing to do is we are going to retain our employees. So because if we lose them, we are going to pay more. So we have to retain them. And second, we need to give them, because we cannot give bonuses this year, we will do a profit share. Okay? So what they did is that on the intranet of this company, they did like a balance, okay, with an indicator. So there was like an indicator on the benefits of this year, the profit of this year. And what we used to do, all of us, in all departments, is to see how we can contribute in reducing the cost. Reducing the cost means we have to be careful even how much we use Kleenex, how much we use plastic cups, how much, if we get the best offer from the clients. So every time we do something like that, we used to log it in a sheet, and we used to log also the profit that the company is making. So they said, if we get to 80% of our target, you will get, all of you will get a bonus. If we get to 100%, or like if we get to 90% or 100%, all of you will get a bonus. If we get to more than 100, like 110%, you will share the extras also as well. We will all share it. And if we get less than 80%, no one will get a bonus. So we will all have, our objective was related to the company's objective. So if the company wins money, we win money. If the company, if we don't achieve the target, we don't achieve the target. So any function can contribute in this by reducing cost, by getting the best suppliers, by making sure you're hiring the best, by retaining. So we all worked like crazy and we achieved 110%. So it was like, this is one of the things you can do. Yes. Also you can, I get your question. You mean if you want to share the profits at the end of the year, right? To have shares?
Yeah. You say how you define, say that the secretary has put in certain
No, what happened in my case, they did it equally. Like we shared equally, but they shared based on their salary. So everyone will get one extra salary.
Okay.
If his salary, if the secretary's salary is 500, the GM salary is 2,000. You see, so they get what? I mean, extra. You can do it this way. It's not like they have to have the same amount. Let's fix them. Okay. Yeah. So that. Okay. So this is mostly how. Can you hear me? Can you share other benefits?
May I ask you a tactical question?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about retaining the employees, and you don't want to talk a lot about this question. Usually, when someone says that they found another opportunity and they want to leave because it's better, it's a bigger company, do you think it's there's a point in trying to entice them to stay, or by this stage, it's more psychological thing, and you can buy them for a while and then they leave?
Okay, it really depends. It's a case by case, but if you really want them, I mean, you should predict this ahead. So there is what we call a succession planning or a talent pool. So you have to have a plan for this person, and knowing that, letting them know that you are working with them on a plan to develop. So you are not planning to keep them in this position. You have to tell them that if all goes well, you will be able to manage. So now you're the, let's say, developer, you will have a team after 2 years, you will have, so let them know that you are working on a plan for them. Would you like to share your story with us? Would you like to share your story with us? Okay, if you want to, then. All right, so this is one of the things. We're leaving, like,
okay, why are you leaving? I'm going to increase.
you can ask, if you really care about this person, you can ask him, like, why he's leaving and stuff. But, like, if he already got an offer and he signed, sometimes it's too late. So this is why it's better to prevent, right? We will take this question and then...
Can you offer shares?
Yes, you can offer shares. This is something you have to study internally. There's no like answer like that. You know? So it's case by case. You have to decide and make a study and see what. There's a lot, but as I told you, there's no standard answer that you should share this amount. You know, but you can have this, like they can have shares, but it depends on the years they spend, the effort they spend, etc. You can do that, and for key positions, not for everyone as well. Yes.
I have a question about negotiating not only shares, but overall the whole package. Since you're talking about recruitment, when do you start negotiate the offer?
When you start negotiating the offer?
Yeah, like when you let's say when you recruit, is it easier to just put the package on the, let's say, LinkedIn or whatever, just to basically filter out the people who might not be interested? Or
you can have, I'll tell you, here when you define the requirement, you should have the salary already set. Okay, for you, like the range. You put minimum, maximum. I will not go over this, I'm not go less than this. And then when you attract candidates, you can, if you want, share it, but I prefer not, because you have to see their expectations. If you see that you're paying like 2,000 to 3,000, he will go to the 3,000, and maybe he deserves 2,000. So you have to assess and ask them their expectations. Okay? So, where were we? Yes, here. All right, so this is any other advantage, like you can, I don't know, give them vouchers for Uber, you can come by bike, like if people are eco-friendly, you can offer them, like, let's say, bike and come to work. You have a bike station, or you can rent a bike, or anything can work in with startups. You can go creative, and yes. Yes, exactly. So because you are a small structure, you can personalize your contact with these people. So you can decide, okay, I'm gonna do my employees, like I have an employee who's an excellent singer. Next time we're gonna do a party for the company, and I am going to, instead of getting a singer from a band that is known, I will get him to sing to the employees. So because you know, you have a small structure, you can know well your audience, your people, and make them develop their passion. They will love it, and you will love it, and save money as well. Okay? Anything else you'd like to share about the benefits? Chad, what's the best thing about your job? Exactly. So his heart is in it. Okay, when your heart is in it, this is amazing. Like he is motivated more and more. It's not simply a job. So when we hire, we have to make sure that you are hiring based on the industry. So here, if you look into that IKEA, you cannot see maybe the thing, but he doesn't. He's have a seat, and it's like a chair that he has to put together. So the recruitment and selection process, as I said, is a 7 steps process. It starts with onboarding, and it ends with onboarding, and it's very important not to forget this step. Now, when you are hiring and you want to know what are the important things to focus on, you have to define 2 things. The first thing is the tangible, and the second is the intangible. Tangible is everything that you can prove with a document. Okay? So, for example, let's say if he's Lebanese or not, if he's a male or a female, if he's like 20 years old or 30 years old, if he has a bachelor's degree or master's degree, everything that he can prove with a document is a tangible thing. Okay? So what are your tangible things? And what are the intangible? So things that you cannot see from a CV. And this is why I told you, like, when you collect CVs, it's important to have an application form so that you fill, as well, people can fill the things that are missing from the CV. So for example, he can put when he left his job, what was his last salary. And the important thing in the application is that at the end, he has like to click or to write or to sign, and there's a notice like, I certify that everything in this application form is correct. So when he reads this, he will think twice, oh, okay, let me fix, like my last salary was 1,000 and not 2,000, okay? So you have to double check this before you, before you take the candidates, so make sure you see this as well. Now, I want just to give you an overview on the competency-based interviewing technique. It's a long thing, but just to tell you quickly, because it may help you. A set of competency, when we say competency, it's made of 3 things, K, S, and A. And it's not KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, no. It's knowledge, skills, and attitude, okay? KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitude. Now, the biggest mistake that people do, especially the ones who are not hired, who are not trained on recruitment, they stop here. They stop on the knowledge and say, you know how to do development? Okay, very good. Show me how. Okay, bravo, you're hired. Now, what about his team working skills? What about his communication skills? What about his attitude? This is why we say people get hired for their skills and fired for their attitude. Okay? I will give an example.
I had this experience.
You had this?
I had this experience. I had the person who had the knowledge and the skills.
But not the attitude.
She didn't have that.
Exactly. And this is why we should hire for attitude. And this is what the competency-based interviewing technique focuses on. It focuses on this part that is under the iceberg. You know, Titanic, when they hit the iceberg, they saw only a part of it. They didn't know that there was a huge part under the water. It's the same for every person we see. We think that they have the knowledge and skills, but what about the attitude? And
it has a huge impact on the rest of the
exactly. I'll give you a quick example for you to grasp this concept better. You're hiring, I'll take a simple example, a driver, okay? So a driver, we ask him, do you know how to drive? Yes, how do you drive? Okay, I put the key in the contact, I turn it on, and then, all right, so he can tell you how to do it. He has the knowledge, so he knows how. Skill, okay, go in the car and do it. He goes in the car and he knows how to drive. Now, the way he drives, how he drives, is the attitude. So he knows how to drive, he can tell you how. He can actually do it, but does he stop on the red lights? Does he respect people? If there's an old person passing, does he stop to make her pass? Is he insulting everyone around? Is he exceeding speed limit? This is here, the attitude. So you may hire people who have the knowledge and skills, but who are lacking the attitude. And also, you may hire people and focus too much on the attitude, like, oh, he's good and willing to learn, but you don't have any knowledge and skills. Now, these can be trained, but this cannot. It's very difficult to change something, all right? So, how much time do we still have? Okay, I'll give you that's why they really say that recruitment is a very difficult job. It's much difficult than we think because we have to meet people less than an hour. So I will tell you why, how to do it, but mostly just to give you the different techniques. Like if you are doing an interview, a typical interview, and 0 is the like worst prediction. So it's, if you are really doing a recruitment a process for hiring people, and 0 is the worst, like you cannot predict, and 1 is the top, like you can really predict. The closest to it is the competency-based interview, because under 0 is chance or graphology or even astrology. Like I have some people who tells me, please لا ما توصفي هيدا أسد أنا برج سرطان ما بتفق معه. And I had this, believe it or not, I had someone who told me this. I was like, no way, it's impossible to have this in 2018. But I really had this. It was 2016. So just to let you know that it's amazing how people can hire. So it's very important to know that the technique you use can be really useful or not. Now, referrals, like asking someone, like, was he good? Also, is not very reliable because people will not tell you the truth always. Now, there are different steps in hiring, from preparing to the interview, introducing the session, asking the question, closing the interview, and assessing the interview. So there's a lot of steps, and this is a training I give over 2 days, so it's a long thing. But what I want you to know is the way you ask questions, okay? So when you are, too bad the slides are cut. But what I want you to remember is that behavioral or competency-based interviewing is based on the fact that past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior. For example, if someone, let's say a little kid, you taught him how to brush his teeth before he sleeps, and every night before he sleeps, he has to brush his teeth. The probability, if he does it for a year or 2, the probability that tomorrow he will do it again is very high, right? It's the same for almost everything. So if you ask someone, do you, are you good with clients? What he will tell you, of course, yes, of course I'm good with clients. I'm an excellent salesman, I can do this and that and that. But this is not reliable because he's talking about theories, he's talking about what he can do. Well, if you tell him, tell me about a time where you had to deal with a difficult customer. So here we are not talking to his imagination, we are talking about his memory. So we are asking him, tell me about a time where you had to deal with a difficult customer. And then we start to probe. What happened? What did you do? How? Where? When? So when we are tackling this, we are talking about something real that happened. Like we are talking about a situation where he actually had this case, and we see how he dealt with it. And how we probe and how we go through the process, this is the challenging part that the recruiter should be trained on, okay? And so I'm just giving you an overview on how this is done, and you can learn. If you would like to know more about this, you can check one of the competency-based interviewing trainings that I give or other people give. So this is one of the techniques. It's called CBI, or behavior interviewing. And this is where we focus on the iceberg, on the attitude that is underneath the water. Before you start the interview, you have to decide what are these competencies that you are looking for. Are you looking for someone who's a team player, someone who's client-focused, or someone who's meticulous? If he's a developer, is it important that he's client-focused, or maybe you just want him to be detail-oriented? So define your competencies, around 4 at least, for every vacancy, so that you are able to see and to assess which profile you are looking for. Okay? So mostly, as I said, the competency-based interviewing will go into your highest achievement and your lowest failures, and then you start to probe. There is what we call the STAR technique, which is situation, task, action, and result. So I will not go into this because it's a lot of details for you for an hour. But it's important to be selective when you're hiring, and make sure just that you avoid the biases. You know what a bias is? bias is when you have a wrong perception about something. I'll give you some biases. There's a bias called the halo or horn effect. The halo effect, example, we get a CV. This one is from Harvard. He has an MBA from Harvard. Wow, that's the candidate I'm gonna hire. So he comes in, and whatever he says, even if he's saying like completely out of the context things, like you are so impressed by this particular characteristic that you disregard anything else. Okay? This is called the halo effect. The horn effect is the opposite. It's when you take a negative thing and you make it all over the thing. For example, let's say he arrived late to the meeting, and for you it's unacceptable, but the guy had an accident and whatever. So whatever he's saying, like, no, I will not take it. He came late. Or he's not wearing a tie, and I think that in interviews he should wear a tie. So this is a horn effect. Halo and horn effects affect us every day, so make sure you don't do it. Another effect is projection bias, or similar to me. Like, oh, he's from USG and I'm from USG, like, oh, he did the same major as I did, and also he's working in HR and in events, so he's like, absolutely, like, it's a mini-me. So when we think this, it's a projection bias, we have the tendency to hire people who are mini-me's. Did you see any manager who has like a team of people who looks like him, but as real? So there's a lot of people who do this, so make sure you avoid it. Exactly. Also, there is a stereotyping, like for example, all people from this country are like that. Like all people from, I don't know, from the mountains are lazy, or all people from that country are, this is a stereotype. The contrast effect is when you have someone who's really, really good, and so you're doing an interview with him, is really good, and then comes another person who's also very good, but you have this contrast effect. You have this, you compare him with the one who came before, and you see a big difference. This is called the contrast effect. Also, the latency or recency effect. Some people have the tendency to like the last candidate they see, they forget كل شيء قبل. Our recency effect. We see also this in judging competitions. If anyone of you is tomorrow presenting in a pitch, or after tomorrow, you will see that some judges have this bias, and unfortunately they were not trained. So some judges have the bias of the latency. So آخر واحد بيشوفوه is the one who will win because they forget everything else. Or the recency, the first one they see is the one who will stay in their head, and they think that he's better than the others. So this is a bias that you should be aware of. So take really a moment to think of your biases and make sure you don't let them into the interview. It's very important to be fair in the interview process. Okay? So just to give a wrap up, because we need to end the session. So give clear expectations. So when you are hiring as a startup, make sure you are giving clear expectation to your employee. You should know he's coming to a startup and not to work in a bank or in a stable structure. Take your time in hiring. They say hire slow, fire fast. Hire slow, take your time. Reflect a good image, prepare the hiring process. So it's very important to reflect a good image, because even if the guy will not be hired, at least let him go and say, wow, I saw this startup and they are really good, and I will recommend my friends. So let him be responsible of your marketing, something like that. Show respect, answer them back, so let them know what will happen. Will they be able to, if you tell them we will get back to you within 3 weeks, get back to them within 3 weeks. Don't just ignore them. Market your startup. It's your opportunity to market your startup. And get trained on how to hire. This is what you're doing. Now, don't make false promises. Don't rush to hire. It's not that we have to hire fast. No. Don't compare candidates. We always compare the candidate to the job, not one to the other. Because sometimes you end up hiring the worst, like the best between the worst. Le garde parmi les aveules, they say so. Don't do this. Compare to what you want. All right? And don't make them wait. Don't ignore them. Make sure they fit your company, so he can have the best degree and have the best profile, but he is not really the good match for your company because you don't fit the culture. Also, make sure of this, and don't ask questions related to his religion, politics, etc. This is considered discrimination. Okay, so I tried to give you as many information as I can in this hour. I hope you benefited from this session. Make sure you remember the process. Don't forget the onboarding part. And these are some sites that you can check where you can post your vacancies. So there's the university portals, AUB and AU, and some others have them. LinkedIn, if you're looking for freelancers, this is a new, wow, I should take a picture of you over there. Freelancer.com and nabish.com if you want to hire freelancers for projects. There's some, I really recommend this one, MG Opportunities blog. You can post for free, and Hire Lebanese you can post for free. The others are paid, okay? There's also Dalil Madani if you have an NGO and stuff like that, so there's a lot of things. Now, sorry? Hire? Hire rural. Okay, start off. Okay, I'll add it to the list. Can you send it to me, Aisha? Okay, so if you think it's expensive to hire a professional to do the job, wait until you hire an amateur. So don't think, okay, this one is cheaper, I'm gonna hire him. Really choose the best and choose the people who will do the job for you. If you have any other question or would like to know more about other trainings, you can email me on randafarah@gmail.com or randa@activity.com. Make sure you subscribe in the activities newsletter. I can't but not talk about the activities because I'm it. Okay, and if you have any questions, I think you have time. Anna, I have a workshop to give at 5. I have 1 minute, 2 minutes for questions, yes.
Circulation transmission, they mentioned the date of birth
yes.
and other things that can be used in discriminatory. I come from a background where you can discriminate by age, by sex, by origin, and you just focus on the qualifications.
Yes, it's true. I'll tell you. In other countries, it's considered really bad to have your date of birth or anything related to nationality, etc. It's discrimination. But in Lebanon, it's okay. All right?
Like even they discriminate by sex if they notice that there is a pregnant candidate.
This is why what I recommend is that
disqualify her.
I recommend in your job posting not to put, for example, we need a female or we need this age range. Okay, don't put it because it's a discrimination. But if they mention it on their CV, don't be rude with them because this is the culture here.
No, like even is there anything in the law in Lebanon that prevents this?
No, there's not in Lebanon. Any other question?
I don't know if it's a question or not, but what I noticed, especially let's say in Silicon Valley, if you look to the average staying for a like employees, talented people in Google or Facebook, the average at least 3 years or 2.5. And these companies, they are doing best to keep this talent and put all the advantages. So I'm wondering why, for example, especially in the tech industry, I don't know in other industry, because there are a lot of demand for these talents. Why they don't say, we don't say, okay, we live with it. This guy, let's say, if it's a founder team, there is a huge separation. If I'm looking for a founding team, let's say, that around me as a startup, yes, they should give a lot of thinking about it once or 100 times. But after that, this guy, he will leave. After 3 years or 4 years, Google, they're paying a lot and they are leaving. So why I don't live with it? And so I look at it as a social system. So they are going around from my
it depends. I mean, not all of them.
Like I said, this is the average.
Also, if the company is growing and they have the potential to start fresh grads and become one of the management team, they will stay. Even in Google, some of the employees stay and they became the management team. So it's.
There are, if you look at all the studies, all the articles there are always they are moving between Salesforce, Google, Facebook, Netflix, all the time. And this is
also a characteristic of millennials. They want to move every 2-3 years, so it's like something we cannot really control. So what we do now is to be able to do what we can control, which is to give our best and to be able to get the best out of the employees and to make them last as long as possible. Sometimes it's good also to have this.
Something extremely important is that Google and Facebook are not startups anymore.
Yeah.
So when you hire somebody that leaves and 2 or 3 years later, it's fine. I mean, okay. And when you are a startup, person does not have a specific training for the job. Usually, this person does multiple tasks. So if you want to hire another person, you have to train her or train him on each of these tasks.
Exactly.
It's really time-consuming, money-consuming, and
yeah. The only point that I'm saying, if it's, I know that, let's say, if it's 3 years, I'm preparing for that, probably I will not care a lot about the competency. For example, I know it's a bad way of thinking, but this is a reality. If he's leaving after 3 years, okay, I should say, I will look for his technical skills. For knowledge, probably I will not think a lot about his attitude.
Oh,
you know,
really?
because,
No,
I know it's bad, I don't know it's not healthy, it's not, you know, but I'm saying that.
But I'll give you an example just to illustrate this. Suppose you know someone, you're getting a finance manager who has excellent knowledge in finance and he has excellent skills, but he's like, he's not very honest and he's stealing your company. What will happen in 3 years? You'll probably close and live together.
No, attitude is like stealing is to be honest or integrity. This is, I don't call it.
This is also the attitude. Like the teamwork, how he deals with clients. He can make you lose all your clients in 2 years. He can make you win more clients in 2 years. He can make you.
Can I share something?
Yes.
I work in the events.
Which company?
It's called Moments. It's a startup. It's not here. But we were working with a very talented designer for weddings. And she had a very good experience. But she couldn't take another person's opinion. We are all the team. She couldn't take any of the team's opinion. She had a very aggressive attitude, and all the team was like, we don't want to work with this person, and it affected us, all of us. So we know that she has a lot of knowledge, but we said no, we will disregard her because we need all the team to success.
You see, so it frustrates the others. Yes. You have at least to have the basics. Like I'm not telling you, and if you master this process, it can become easier. Okay, but focus on that.
She was a key person. She was a key person.
Okay, thank you all for your time. And if you want to know more, you can email me.
Thank you, Randa. We're going for the last coffee break, and we'll be back at 3:45 for the last workshop for the day. Thank you.